I'm Larry O'Connor, and we're going to follow up on that blockbuster story last week. Senator Chuck Grassley releasing that unclassified, unredacted FBI document at 10:23. You remember this story. Let's take a look at the document. This is a 4-page detailed listing of all the information a confidential human source told the FBI several years ago about what appears to be a bribery attempt, if not a successful bribery campaign, of then Vice President Joe Biden, he's our president now, and his son Hunter Biden. Now, there's a lot to this story, and I want to unpack much of it. You'll remember, this alleges that an executive for the Burisma gas and electric company in Ukraine was willing to pay $10 million to the Biden family in exchange for favorable actions of the vice president on behalf of the U.S. government. Now, we know that then Vice President Biden did do things that ended up helping this company, Burisma. He's bragged about it, right? He strong-armed the president of Ukraine and got him to fire the country's chief prosecutor. That prosecutor, by the way, was actually scrutinizing and investigating executives with Burisma. Biden comes to town, strong-arms the president of Ukraine. They fire the prosecutor. Burisma's sitting pretty. Not only was this alleged bribe in exchange for that kind of favorable behavior, but also Burisma hired Hunter Biden to the tune of about $80,000 a month so that he could help Burisma navigate the shoals of the government and the financial institutions here in America so they could go public and make tons of money. It's the oldest game in the book, and it's not legal. So this FBI 1023 unclassified, unredacted document finally gets released by Senator Chuck Grassley against the will of the FBI, against the will of the Justice Department. Nobody wanted you to see this document. And, well, the mainstream media is continuing to try to keep this thing under wraps. In fact, I mean, you know about this story because you watch this program and you probably listen to talk radio and maybe you read some conservative websites that are really focused on it. But imagine if you were stuck just watching NBC News and reading the New York Times. You'd know nothing. You'd be in the dark. You would be completely uninformed. Want proof? Well, our friend Molly Hemingway over at The Federalist, she did a little thought experiment over the weekend. She went to the New York Times website and put in 3 words in the search engine. Take a look. She typed in Grassley, Biden, Burisma. Now, if I ask you anything going on with Grassley, Biden, and Burisma, you know exactly what the story was. But if you read the New York Times, look, the first hit you get is from June 5th. And the article isn't even about the scandal. It's about, well, you can see in the headline there, Republicans escalating attacks on FBI. See, the story isn't the scandal. The story is the Republicans are pouncing on this story. Completely uninformed. And so that's actually keeping a whole lot of Americans in the dark about this scandal. Also kept in the dark about this scandal, apparently, is the actual FBI and Justice Department investigators who were supposed to get to the bottom of a potential bribe of the Vice President of the United States. Take a look at Margot Cleveland's reporting today, also in The Federalist. Apparently, the FBI field office in Pittsburgh, they were given this 1023 document to look into, and they corroborated a bunch of the claims in that document. They corroborated a lot of the details, the names, the places, the dates, and they told the U.S. Attorney in Delaware that they had corroborated it. But nothing happened. There was no investigation of this document. Why? Well, that's what we want to talk about. Why indeed? Now, you'd be forgiven if you think that the FBI ignored this story and the Justice Department ignored this story and they buried it because they're putting their thumb on the scales of justice on behalf of their guy, a Democrat, Joe Biden. This is partisan, right? They just want to make sure they protect the Democrat and they hurt the Republicans at all costs. And well, there's a big part of this story that would, in fact, confirm that notion. I mean, just take a look at how they treated this confidential human source telling them directly that they think Joe Biden got a bribe from Ukraine. They didn't do anything to really investigate it or move the investigation along. Meanwhile, the Steele dossier, which was a piece of opposition research created by the Hillary Clinton for President campaign, full of lies and misinformation, that the FBI took and immediately began a counterintelligence investigation into the Trump campaign. That led to an investigation of Trump as president. It led to the Robert Mueller investigation, and the entire thing was built on a fraudulent house of cards. The Steele dossier they took very seriously. They pulled out all the stops and they investigated, and leaked their investigation to the media to undermine Donald Trump. But this Biden bribery charge that actually had corroboration, unlike the Steele dossier, they just ignored it. They swept it under the rug. Why? Just to protect Joe Biden? Is he really worth that? Well, part of it is to protect Joe Biden, make no mistake, yes. But I think there's something bigger at play here. In a very real way, the reason that the FBI didn't investigate this, the reason that the FBI hid this story from the American people, the reason why Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, refused to allow Congress to look at this document, let alone release the document to the people. The only reason we see it right now is because Christopher Wray was personally threatened with contempt of Congress charges if he didn't release the document. The reason he tried to hide it was to protect himself and to protect the FBI. You hear it all the time from Christopher Wray, from Attorney General Merrick Garland. Hell, you heard it from James Comey, and you heard it from Attorney General Bill Barr. They want to protect the institution of the FBI. They're doing whatever they can to protect the institution of the Justice Department, and I believe them. That's exactly what they're doing. They are protecting their institution. The problem is that's not their job. You see, when they're sworn into office, they don't say, I swear to defend and protect the institution of the FBI and the Justice Department. No, they swear to defend the Constitution. And believe it or not, sadly, sometimes the interests of our FBI and the Justice Department is in direct conflict with the Constitution. Here's the latest example of that. A federal judge on Friday revealed that they investigated the FBI's conduct with regard to FISA 702 data. Now, this may ring a bell. This is the data that's caught up in a wide net of surveillance of the American people. It's supposed to be caught up so that when necessary, our law enforcement and intelligence communities can stop overseas terrorists from attacking our nation. And sometimes they do those searches without the benefit of a warrant. The secret FISA court oversees that, and Friday, a judge on that FISA court found that the FBI had conducted warrantless illegal searches. This is the kind of stuff that Edward Snowden revealed. It's this kind of stuff that James Clapper lied about under oath, and of course, nothing was ever done to him. We'll take a look at this tweet from our friend Sean Davis, also at The Federalist. The federal court in charge of overseeing how the intelligence community and the FBI uses this data found that the FBI illegally spied on a U.S. senator, a state senator, and a state judge. Did you hear about that story? I mean, it got covered a little bit, but boy, it didn't get much attention. Not nearly as much attention as Donald Trump having some documents down in Mar-a-Lago. I mean, what bothers you more, a former president with a box of documents, or the FBI actively using warrantless data to spy on a sitting U.S. senator? And here's the really scary thing. That federal judge, after discovering that, continued this program. The FBI can do it to you. They can do it today. They can do it right now. They are continuing to protect their institution. And it flies right in the face of our Constitution. There's more to come on O'Connor Tonight.